Today we're going to explore a forgotten chapter of human history, where common plants that we step on today without noticing were once treasures guarded under lock and key by medieval kings and nobles. Before continuing with the video, remember to subscribe to the channel for more documentary narratives like this one. It was an ordinary morning in the 13th century. A peasant was crossing the fields of a noble estate in the interior of France, his eyes fixed on something seemingly insignificant, a small plant with yellow flowers sprouting between the stones of the path. He knew that plant well. His grandmother used to prepare teas with its leaves and ointments with its roots. It was a remedy that worked, but the man looked away and kept walking, pretending he hadn't seen anything. At that time, picking that plant on noble lands could cost him much more than a few minutes of walking. The punishment was severe. What was so special about that yellow herb that grew practically anywhere? Why would royalty care about something so abundant? The answer was hidden in the properties of that humble plant, properties that modern science would only confirm centuries later. Dandelion, for that is what it was not just any herb. Every part of that plant served a purpose. The roots, when roasted and ground, produced a hot drink that replaced coffee in times of scarcity. The leaves, harvested young, made salads more nutritious than any intentionally cultivated vegetable. The flowers could be fermented into wine, a tradition that spanned generations. And the nutritional numbers of this plant are surprising. A serving of dandelion leaves contains more vitamin A than carrots and more iron than spinach. This is not an exotic superfood imported from distant lands. It is the same plant that homeowners associations consider a visual pest on well-kept lawns. Medieval herbalists prescribed dandelion tea for liver problems. At that time, medicine was wrong about many things. Bloodletting was common practice. Holes were drilled in skulls to release evil spirits, and it was believed that bad air caused diseases. But in this specific case, the ancients got it right. Modern studies confirm that dandelion stimulates the production of bile in the liver. Those healers discovered this without microscopes, without clinical trials, only through careful observation of the effects on their patients over generations. But the dandelion is not alone in this story of forgotten plants. There is another that literally attacks anyone who tries to harvest it, as if guarding its secrets with tooth and nail. The nettle is a plant that seems to have been designed for self-defense. Touching its leaves with exposed skin causes an immediate sensation of thousands of tiny needles penetrating the flesh. The pain can last for hours. The Romans knew this effect well. During their campaigns in Britain, soldiers deliberately whipped themselves with nettles to generate body heat on the coldest days. What seems like insanity had a cruel logic. The inflammatory reaction caused by the plant increased skin temperature, functioning as a kind of natural heater in frozen territories. The irony of this plant that seems made to hurt is that it is among the most nutritious vegetables on the planet. When dried, the nettle is approximately 25% protein, a number that surpasses most known leafy vegetables. Spinach, so celebrated for its nutritional properties, does not even come close to these values. The obvious question is how anyone can eat something that causes so much pain to the touch. The answer is surprisingly simple. 30 seconds of cooking are enough to completely neutralize the stinging compounds. What was an enemy transforms into food. Medieval peasants discovered this secret centuries ago. When linen was too expensive for their means, they wove nettle fibers into fabrics. During World War I, when cotton became scarce in Germany, military uniforms were made from the fibers of this plant. A weed literally dressed soldiers in combat. Nettles grow on riverbanks, forest edges, anywhere the soil has been disturbed. They are scattered throughout North America and Europe, waiting patiently for someone brave enough to harvest them. Those who decide to cultivate them should plant root divisions in the spring, in locations with partial shade, and use thick gloves during the harvest. This recommendation cannot be emphasized enough. Thick gloves. Otherwise, the result will be hours of discomfort and questioning one's own life choices. The same plant that causes pain also heals, feeds, and clothes people. It has been doing this for thousands of years, waiting to be rediscovered by each new generation. But the nettle is not even the strangest of the medieval plants. that still grow wild today. There is another that monks cultivated secretly in their monasteries, a plant that rivals fish in nutritional value. Purslane has a curious history. Farmers pulled it from their fields for centuries, calling it pigweed, cursing its stubborn existence. Meanwhile, within the stone walls of medieval monasteries, monks cultivated it in secret, consuming it during periods of fasting when meat was forbidden. There was a reason for this discreet interest. Purslane contains more omega-3 fatty acids than any other leafy vegetable on the planet. Its levels rival those of some fish, a weed competing with salmon in nutritional value. Omega-3 fatty acids were not exactly a known term in the 13th century. The monks did not understand the science behind what they observed, but they noticed something. During long periods of abstinence from meat, the brothers who consumed purslane remained more alert, more concentrated, and less subject to the mental fog that afflicted those who survived on bread alone. What they had discovered, without knowing how to name it, was that omega-3s are literally brain food. The ironic part of this story is that while the monks meticulously tended to their purslane beds inside the monastery walls, the farmers outside cultivated crops that were worth a fraction of the nutritional value of that despised herb. More vitamin C, more vitamin A, more magnesium, more iron. The plant they considered trash outperformed their commercial crops in practically every measurable aspect. But no one told the farmers. Trade secrets, after all. What makes purslane almost impossible to eliminate is its ability to propagate. It spreads like gossip at a family gathering. Vegetable gardens, sidewalk cracks, anywhere the soil is disturbed during the heat of summer. 40 days from seed to harvest. Cut the stems, and it grows thicker, more productive. The plant literally rewards those who attack it. Gandhi supposedly ate purslane regularly throughout his life, listing it among his favorite foods. A man who understood something about simplicity and survival chose this particular plant. Generations of gardeners have pulled purslane from their tomato beds and thrown it into the compost, following tradition, following ignorance. Today, some are beginning to rediscover its value, consuming it in salads while the tomatoes are still ripening. But purslane is not the only plant that deceived entire populations. The next one managed to trick whole cities into believing they were drinking coffee. Chicory has been lying to coffee drinkers for more than 400 years, and honestly, people were grateful for the deception. To understand how this happened, one must imagine the brutal scenario of medieval siege warfare. Armies would surround a city and simply wait, weeks, sometimes months. Inside those walls, supplies ran out quickly. Bread ran out, meat ran out, and that hot morning drink that people needed to function definitely ran out. So they improvised. Someone dug up chicory roots, roasted them until they were dark brown, ground them, and prepared the result as a drink. It was bitter. It was earthy. And if a person squinted hard while drinking it, they could almost pretend it was the real thing. The most interesting thing is that New Orleans still does this today, not because they have to, but because they want to. During the American Civil War, Union blockades cut off coffee shipments to Louisiana. Locals stretched their remaining beans by mixing in chicory roots. The war ended. The blockades were lifted. Coffee flowed freely again. They kept the chicory anyway. The bitter compounds that everyone complained about turned out to be useful. They stimulate digestive enzymes and feed the beneficial bacteria living in the gut. The same ingredient that made chicory a drink of despair is what makes it genuinely healthy. Life has these ironies. Finding chicory is ridiculously easy. Those bright blue flowers that appear on roadsides throughout the summer in the eastern United States, that is chicory just standing there, being beautiful and edible while cars speed past. Growing your own requires patience. Plant seeds directly outdoors in the fall. The roots need the cold of winter to develop that deep and complex flavor. Skipping this step results in bland and disappointing results. Nature demands its schedule. The true treasure inside these roots is inulin fiber. It is a prebiotic that feeds beneficial gut bacteria more effectively than most. Expensive supplements. Medieval peasants had no idea why chicory made them feel better. They just knew it worked. But chicory is not the only forgotten superfood hidden in plain sight. Lamb's quarter, might be the most insulting vegetable in existence. It doesn't insult people, it insults farmers. This is a plant that produces more calcium per cup than milk and more vitamin C than oranges. And where does it choose to grow? Right in the middle of the tomato beds. Uninvited, unwanted, unstoppable. Early American settlers knew better than to pull it. They ate lamb's quarter constantly. So often that archaeologists excavating the Plymouth settlement found lamb's quarter seeds mixed with meal remains. These people crossed an ocean, nearly starved to death in several winters, and still found time to harvest this herb as if it were precious. Because it was. Medieval farmers had a different name for it. They called it fat hen. Why? Because chickens fed with lamb's quarter produced remarkably larger eggs. The birds knew something that humans forgot. Good nutrition hides in plain sight. The strangest thing is that you don't even need to plant this thing. Disturb some bare soil in the spring. Wait 2 weeks. Lamb's quarter appears as if it were just waiting for an invitation, which it probably was. A single plant produces 75,000 seeds. 75,000. That is not reproduction. It is world domination with a backup plan. This explains why every state in America officially classifies it as a weed. Construction sites, gardens, farms, abandoned lots. Lamb's quarter doesn't care about property lines or landscaping preferences. People spend real money on calcium supplements, while this plant grows a few feet away in their own backyards. It makes one feel a bit foolish when they find out. The survival rate is almost comical. Centuries of farmers pulling it up. Decades of herbicides targeting it, and yet lamb's quarter has outlived empires, outlived industrial agriculture, and still appears every spring as if nothing happened. It turns out that being classified as useless is an excellent camouflage for survival. But lamb's quarter is not the only medieval plant hiding serious medicine behind a humble appearance. The next one looks like a common shrub. It is far from common. The elderberry may be the only plant in history that saved lives and ended them in the same kitchen. Medieval families treated elderberry syrup the way we treat painkillers today. A cold, elderberry. A fever coming on, elderberry. Children looking pale? The same answer. Every house kept a jar stocked and ready for use. But here the story gets complicated. Raw elderberries contain compounds that produce cyanide in the human body. The leaves are even worse. Medieval cooks needed to know exactly what they were doing. Cooking the fruits properly resulted in medicine. Skipping that step resulted in a very bad day. Modern science has caught up with what grandmothers knew for centuries. Clinical trials demonstrate that elderberry extract reduces the duration of colds by an average of 4 days. 4 days. That is not folk wisdom talking, it is peer-reviewed research. During the flu outbreak in Panama in 1995, elderberry extract was one of the few treatments that showed measurable results. Doctors were genuinely surprised. Grandmothers were not. Finding elderberry in the wild is almost too easy. Walk along any fence line in temperate North America. Check stream banks. Look at forest edges. Those clusters of dark purple fruits growing everywhere. That is the natural pharmacy waiting. Those who want to grow their own should plant bare root cuttings in early spring. By the 3rd year, there will be more fruit than it is possible to use. The shrubs grow fast, produce reliably, and ask for almost nothing in return. But elderberry is not the only plant that doctors actually prescribed as medicine. There is another that Hippocrates himself considered so essential that he built his entire hospital based on fresh access to it. Hippocrates, the father of medicine himself, chose the location of his first hospital based entirely on one factor. It wasn't the views, it wasn't the neighborhood. He chose a site near a stream because watercress grew there. The man who shaped modern medicine for 2,000 years built his entire practice based on access to a single plant. And honestly, he knew something that later generations forgot. British sailors also discovered this, although they had no idea why it worked. Scurvy was killing more sailors than enemy cannons during long voyages. The solution? Handfuls of watercress whenever the ships docked in ports. They called it the poor man's medicine. Doctors actually prescribed it, like a prescription written on paper. Eat this herb and you will live. The surprising thing is that no one understood that vitamin C existed yet. They just Notice that people who ate watercress stopped losing their teeth and dying. A good enough reason, presumably. What makes watercress almost unfair is its composition. 15 essential vitamins and minerals packed into leaves that contain only 4 calories per cup. 4. A person would burn more energy chewing than they would gain from eating it. Doctors keep saying to eat healthier, while foods this nutritious grow in every stream that people pass by. Everyone does it. That peppery taste is not just flavor. It is the same compound found in mustard, and it actually kills bacteria. Nature basically created an edible antibiotic that tastes like salad with attitude. Finding it couldn't be easier. Shallow streams, springs, anywhere water moves slowly through North America and Europe. It is basically everywhere there is water. Those who want to grow their own can use containers. Just change the water daily. The roots need constant moisture, but stagnant water creates problems. It is like a high-maintenance houseplant that actually gives something back. But watercress is not the only plant doing double duty. The next one cleaned medieval swords and ended up in soup bowls. The same plant, the same acid, completely different purposes. Blacksmiths had a strange secret weapon for cleaning rust from swords and armor. Not sand, not sophisticated oils, a plant. They rubbed sorrel leaves on the metal, and the acid ate away the rust as if it were nothing. The same plant they threw into the soup that night. A true example of multitasking. The science behind it is oxalic acid. It is the same compound that gives rhubarb its tart flavor. In sorrel, this acid is strong enough to polish steel, but gentle enough to make the tongue do a happy dance. The French discovered this centuries ago and never gave it up. Walk into a traditional French restaurant today, order the spring soup, and you are eating basically the same recipe that medieval peasants consumed. What makes sorrel interesting for modern people is its ubiquity. Naturalized throughout North America, appearing in meadows, lawns, even those neglected fields that no one has touched in years. It prefers acidic soil, which means if the grass struggles to grow and moss thrives, sorrel is probably already there waiting. The best part about sorrel is that it is a perennial. Plant it once and it returns stronger every spring. Just divide those clumps every 3 years to keep them vigorous. Otherwise they get crowded and grumpy, like relatives at Christmas. But there is a catch. No one tells you that the same oxalic acid that cleaned medieval armor is not so friendly to the kidneys. People prone to kidney stones should consume sorrel in moderation. The acid that polished metal can contribute to the formation of calcium oxalate crystals in the body. Not ideal, so enjoy it, but maybe don't eat it at every meal. Speaking of plants that come with warnings, the next one has a name that sounds like royalty, but actually comes from Germanic folklore about a helpful household spirit. Good King Henry has a deceptive name. In fact, it was named after a friendly household spirit from Germanic folklore, not any actual king. Disappointing? For many, yes. Good King Henry was a helpful elf who supposedly assisted with household chores. The Germans called him Guter Heinrich. When English speakers appropriated the name, they assumed it must be royalty. It wasn't, just an elf. But what makes this plant genuinely special is its versatility. Most vegetables offer one thing. Tomatoes give fruit, lettuce gives leaves, carrots give roots. Good King. Henry looked at this arrangement and asked why choose only one. The leaves taste like spinach, in fact better than spinach for those who have tried it. The young shoots can be harvested and cooked exactly like asparagus, and those tiny seeds can be ground into flour. 3 completely different harvests from one plant throughout the growing season. Medieval farmers were no fools. They recognized a bargain when they saw one. This was the royalty of cottage gardens. For centuries, every village had some growing somewhere. So common that the first American settlers packed seeds along with their beans and wheat. They were convinced that Good King Henry would become a staple food of the New World. Well, that didn't happen. The problem was patience, or rather, the complete lack of it in colonial America. Good King Henry takes 3 full years from seed to reach full production. 3 years. When a family is building a farm in the middle of the wilderness and needs food now, who has time for that? The settlers abandoned it for faster crops and never looked back. Today, it is practically forgotten. It still grows wild in parts of Great Britain, a few scattered locations across North America. Specialty seed catalogs sell it, but most gardeners have never heard of it. The smartest ones skip the seeds entirely and start with transplanted seedlings. This dramatically reduces the waiting period. A plant named after an elf that produces 3 foods and outlived the people who gave up on it. It's hard not to respect that kind of stubbornness. Speaking of stubborn survivors, there is a herb growing in sidewalk cracks right now that used to be actual candy. Something that makes people feel cheated when they find out. That fluffy marshmallow that is roasted over campfires, a complete fraud. The original marshmallow was real medicine made from a real plant, and it worked. The mallow root contains a thick, sticky substance called mucilage. When medieval doctors whipped it with sugar and egg whites, they created a soothing paste for sore throats and coughs. It wasn't candy, it was medicine. The modern version contains corn syrup, gelatin, and absolutely no plant material. The name was kept, but everything useful was discarded. What is surprising is that the mallow plant itself grows everywhere. Check sidewalk cracks, look along fences. That round-leafed weed being ignored, probably mallow. It has been thriving silently while people buy synthetic versions of what it provides for free. Medieval doctors didn't play around with this plant. Sore throat, mallow tea, upset stomach, mallow tea, skin irritation, mallow poultice. That mucilage coats irritated tissues like a natural bandage. Slippery, protective, genuinely useful. And during World War II, when food became scarce across Europe, guess what people started eating again? Mallow leaves. Right back to medieval survival food in just one generation of crisis. Your grandparents would have laughed. It took a while to remember. Growing it requires almost negative effort. Plant seeds in the spring. Ignore them. Mallow actually prefers poor soil and drought conditions. It is like that friend who thrives on neglect. Watering it too much makes it confused. 2 main types appear in North America. Common mallow handles dry conditions like a champion. Marshmallow, yes, that is basically its name, prefers wetter spots near streams. The leaves have a mild, slightly nutty flavor. The flowers work in salads. The roots produce that medicinal mucilage. 1 plant, 3 uses, 0 maintenance required. Humanity transformed genuine herbal medicine into sugar bombs and completely forgot the source. And now, to come full circle and reflect on why these 10 plants matter more today than in medieval times. Over centuries, humanity developed sophisticated agricultural systems, created plant varieties optimized for mass production, and invented vitamin and mineral supplements in capsule form. And in the process, it forgot that nature had already provided solutions to many nutritional and medicinal problems. The dandelion that kings guarded like gold is now sprayed with herbicides by homeowners concerned about the appearance of their lawns. The nettle that clothed soldiers and fed entire villages is pulled up with thick gloves and discarded as green waste. The purslane that kept monks mentally sharp during long fasts is stepped on in sidewalk cracks without a second glance. The chicory that sustained besieged cities and still flavors New Orleans coffee grows forgotten on highway shoulders. The lamb's quarter that fed the first settlers of Plymouth is officially classified as a pest in every American state. The elderberry that cured generations before the invention of synthetic antibiotics is often ignored on the edges of rural properties. The watercress that Hippocrates considered essential enough to base the location of his hospital grows in streams that people cross without looking down. The sorrel that polished armor and seasoned soups thrives in gardens where it is treated as an invader. The good King Henry that offered 3 harvests from a single plant is practically extinct in popular memory. And the mallow that gave rise to the marshmallow, the most innocent of campfire sweets, has been completely erased from the collective consciousness. There is something deeply ironic about the current situation. The same society that spends billions on nutritional supplements, functional foods, and superfoods imported from distant ecosystems systematically ignores plants that grow for free in their own backyards, sidewalks, and vacant lots. Plants that evolved alongside human beings for millennia, that fed civilizations, cured diseases, clothed armies, and survived all attempts at eradication. These are not fragile plants that need special conditions to thrive. They are survivors. They grow through concrete, bloom in depleted soils, and return year after year despite all efforts to eliminate them. Their resilience is a message that nature sends repeatedly, a message that most people fail to hear. The medieval kings who kept dandelions in their private gardens understood something that has been lost. It wasn't about rarity. These plants were never rare. It was about value. They recognized that some of the most valuable things are not the scarcest or most exotic, but the most useful and accessible. Perhaps it is time to look again at the plants that grow without permission in the neglected corners of the modern world. Not as pests to be eliminated, but as resources to be rediscovered. The same resources that kept civilizations running for thousands of years before industrial agriculture, before synthetic supplements, before the complete separation between humans and the natural world that surrounds them. The next time someone passes a dandelion growing in a sidewalk crack, a nettle on the edge of a stream, or a clump of elderberry on a rural fence, maybe it is worth stopping for a moment, to look with new eyes, to remember that kings once guarded these plants as treasures, to remember that monks cultivated them in secret, to remember that sailors survived because of them, that soldiers were clothed by them, and that entire civilizations depended on them. These plants are still here. They still grow. They still offer the same benefits they offered centuries ago. The only thing that has changed is the human ability to recognize their value. And that, unlike the plants themselves, is a change that can be reversed. If this journey through the secret gardens of medieval history has sparked your curiosity about other forgotten chapters of human knowledge, consider subscribing to this channel. Each subscription is a sign that stories like this deserve to be told, that the past still has valuable lessons to teach the present. Leave your comment sharing if you already knew any of these plants or if any grow near where you live. And if this documentary brought something new to your perspective on the natural world around you, a simple gesture of liking helps spread this knowledge to others who may also benefit from it. After all, knowledge, just like these resilient plants, only fulfills its purpose when it is shared and cultivated by new generations.